So I played the Mercenaries in 3 different Resident Evil games, and I compared them, starting with Resident Evil 4 2005. This is by far my personal favorite. Everything about this mode is fun, there is a lot of strategy involved, and it's very open to replayability in my opinion. I've played over 1,000 hours of this mode on the original PlayStation 2 release back in the day, and I still enjoy playing it to this day, even though it's been like nearly 20 years at this point. The gameplay is not super smooth, but it's definitely fun. There are a lot of flaws with the system, and the game can become very scripted if you are able to manipulate it enough. And sometimes the scores are just kind of, I don't know, it's just really difficult to get a high score once you get really good at this game, because you end up getting the same, almost exactly the same scores every time. Now you might be wondering, why does that matter? Well, back then we didn't have scoreboards, so we just kind of like kept track of our own high scores, so we would just write them down, and you know, that's the whole point of this mode, to just get a high score. Overall, I think this is one of the best Mercenaries. Of course, there is RE5 and RE6, and those are really good too, but personally, I think this one is the best and my favorite, to be honest. Maybe I'm a bit biased because this is the one that I've played the most, but I do think that this is the most replayable Mercenaries game, aside from RE5 online mode. We don't count that because that's not fair. But if I were to pick, it would probably be RE5 multiplayer with a friend, but single player, definitely I would prefer RE4, the original RE4. Now, the remake did capture the essence of Resident Evil Mercenaries, and I think it did a great job. So let's take a look at that next. Alrighty, so here we are on RE4 Remake. I'm gonna be playing as HUNK on the village, just so you can compare it with the original. But yeah, so I personally think this is the most correct way of doing single-player Mercenaries, I think. And that means a lot, I think, coming from me, because I'm a huge fan of the original RE4, as I just told you, and I think the RE4 remake is actually slightly better if we're talking about single player. It does fall short on a lot of things. It falls short on the content. For example, we only have 3 maps on launch. I'm sure there will be DLC later down the line, hopefully. And the characters, they're great, but we're missing Ada and Wesker. As I'm recording this, hopefully we will be getting them later down the line. And honestly, I think this mode is incredibly fun, incredibly amazing. It really captures the chaos that Mercenaries should be about, and it's one of the best modes in this series. It is kind of a shame that, you know, you don't really get anything for playing it other than, you know, getting the hand cannon or an S++. And I know what you're thinking, you know, I enjoyed playing for score back in the day in the original RE4, but I don't know, I feel like this modern day, it should give you something back, you know, at least an achievement for getting S+ on everything. Or something like that, you know, getting a high score would be nice, or a skin perhaps, something hidden, you know, content, you know, give me a reason to spend those 20 minutes on the village just destroying ganados. But hey, I'm not complaining. I think it's incredibly fun. It's worth it just for the fun and chaos that you get from this game. If I were to fix anything about this mode, is make it more random, you know, change bosses every once in a while, not have it be too scripted, because I think what makes this mode incredibly fun is the massive chaos that just slowly just unravels while you're playing this game. Next up we have Resident Evil 8, or RE Village. Nothing about this mode is fun. Let's start with that. Now, I don't want to be a hater. I really like Resident Evil Village. Welcome. But the Mercenaries, man, without the DLC, it's just a bore fest. It is the most scripted thing you could possibly imagine, and the only fun factor from this game mode is the different ability orbs that you get. So every once in a while, when you find a blue orb, you can break it and it will give you an option to get one of 3 random perks. With the DLC, you can re-roll this, and I think 2 times per game you can re-roll this and try to see if you can get something better. The DLC definitely made this game mode a lot more entertaining. I think it should have been like this at launch. I think more people would have bought the game and would have spent more time on it, and then they would have come back for Shadows of Rose when that released a year and 7.5 months later. But I think RE Village Mercenaries is by far the single worst side mode that we've ever gotten in any Resident Evil game, and that's not counting raid mode. I'm just kidding, I like raid mode. But yeah, Ethan Winters, if you don't have the DLC, you play as Ethan Winters. He only has a small selection of weapons. It is completely different from what we're used to. Like, the maps end in areas, so every once in a while you kill enough enemies, you move on to the next area, which I honestly think was taken from raid mode from Resident Evil Revelations. I'm not entirely sure, but nothing about this game mode just screams fun for me. There is no reason to play it. There is no other unlock other than the lightsaber, which I guess is worth it, but after you're done with that, there's no reason to go back to it, even with DLC, because you're gonna have your fun for like an hour, maybe an hour and a half, and that is going to be it. And that's perfectly okay, but I think a game like Mercenaries should be very replayable. As we stated before, RE4, both RE4s did a wonderful job at creating replayability with the game mode, purely because the gameplay was incredibly amazing and chaotic. This mode is just not fun at all. Mercenaries in RE Village feels like an obstacle that I have to overcome, rather than a fun game mode to play. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. Hopefully you like this kind of video. Let me know if you want to see more by leaving a like, subscribe with all notifications on, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.